You're watching the Tiger, and we're talking now about a really important topic. And I suppose this is symbolic of what's happening right around Thailand, with many businesses struggling. And it's not helping that at the moment there's a whole new range of restrictions that are locking down a lot of businesses that were just getting ready to reopen. Of course, one of the most popular tourist attractions in Thailand is the city of Pattaya. And we've got one of the business owners, also publisher at the Pattaya News, but probably known better around the Pattaya area as the owner of a number of nightclubs and bars involved with the Nightwish Group. But people will know this man from his YouTube channel and a whole lot of other things. Bryan Flowers, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be on.
Tell me about, before we start, the wallpaper behind you. What in earth is going on with that wallpaper?
So, this house is rented before I buy it, and because of the Rona situation, I haven't brought it yet. So, I don't feel the need. I just had a green screen here, and I moved it because I can't seem to use it with Zoom.
I think the
But
wallpaper.
people love the wallpaper. They love commenting on it. It helps my interaction.
Wallpaper's got to go. Bryan, let's have a talk about this meeting you've got organised today. You're pretty much rebelling against the latest round of closures. You've had 3 or 4 different times where the government said you've got to close your bars, and you've had enough. So can we go through some of the things that you're demanding? Basically, you're wanting your staff to be able to work. You want the bars to open.
Yeah, so there's 2 issues here. The biggest issue is that we found a solution and we decided to do live streaming. And it was quite upsetting, really, because we've got gills in different buildings. And then we thought, okay, we're closed, but we can live stream. And then the police came along and says, you can't do this anymore. And I said, why? They said, because of social distancing. I said, but the gills live together. And they said, oh, it's social distancing. And I said, okay, so you want us to fire 220 gills and all of our staff, and then all of the gills are going to go elsewhere, other live streams. They're going to make money the way they normally make money, and they're going to make the situation 5 times worse. And they said, okay, that's the way we want it. So we had to stop doing live streaming, and everyone disappeared back to the villages, back to work, onto other people's live streaming, spreading the situation. So that was one thing that upset me. If they allowed us to continue with that, it would have been okay.
So this is like a knee-jerk reaction against... Do you think you were targeted?
No, it's not us. There's been loads of them. There's been at least 6 or 7 that I know, and there's quite a few that people don't know about because not everything's put on the news.
Sure. Another part of the, well, I suppose we can call it a rant that you had on your Facebook page yesterday, it said, nobody's talking about the amount of suicides going on and all the people suffering in silence. Can you tell us about your experiences and what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of suicide that isn't in the news, and I know this because, I hear and people tell me things all the time, but if it doesn't get to our news team, then it doesn't go in there. And I just feel like there's just so much hardship. I'm seeing people with depression. I'm seeing people lose everything. I've had a friend kill himself. There's quite a few people that have killed themselves. And I'm not going to blame it all on Rona, but, it's one of those things that it's just too much. Like, even me, my mental health must be suffering by now. I'm just stressed all the time. And now we're left with 0 staff completely, and a lot of my team are suffering from anxiety. So I know that it's a big issue out there, and there's going to be more suicides to come.
Have the government provided any help to your workers?
No, not at all. I mean, they don't help out. I think they helped out like 5,000 baht once, and only half our staff got it. I just want to be able to take care of our own staff and be able to live stream in our own buildings where the gills live. The gills agreed with each other a couple of weeks ago to stop leaving the buildings and seeing people. And I thought that was great. But then, they say that it looks bad that gills are in the same room.
Some people are going to say, he is a foreigner just having a whinge about not being able to open his girly bars. I mean, what are you sort of saying to your detractors?
I always say, let's say we had 220 gills when we closed. We had like Farang managers. We've got loads of other staff. It's a huge knock-on effect. There's people in villages that aren't going to get any money this month. There's all the street sellers. They're outside the buildings all day, hoping that the girls just leave to go get something. So it's a huge knock-on effect, and that's why I keep saying all of those Thai people that think that it doesn't affect them, it does. They just don't know it yet. That wave of destruction's coming at some point.
So, I suppose the other thing to consider is that there is a big public health need that the Thai government, for whatever reason, have decided that they need to keep places where people are likely to get together closed at this time. Remembering that, of course, with the current wave, it really started at Tonglaw clubs and nightclubs. So, can you understand what the Thai government's trying to do?
Yes, I do understand, but there's just so much going on here. I mean, you've got loads of people saying conspiracies. You've got loads of people who don't believe in stuff anymore. But what I'm seeing personally with my own eyes is none of our girls that got it were actually sick. You know, it just seems to be asymptomatic. I think it's an overreaction, but that's a whole new argument.
Well,
I
and
just think that
go on.
we need to now the price is too much. You know, before it was like, okay, let's try and save some people, which is the right thing to do. Now it's like we're starting to really hurt the masses now.
So you think that this third wave really has just crushed a lot of businesses that were hanging on with savings or selling up a few things, that this third wave is just crushing people to the core?
I think what it's doing is it's giving opportunities for other people to come in now. But, you know, so there are going to be a lot of people that are losing everything, but there's going to be a lot of people coming in replacing them. So it doesn't matter to the customer. But I just feel bad that all of these people have spent all these years working. And for us to open our company again, we've got to find new cashiers if they move on. We've got to start from the ground upwards. And it takes people weeks and weeks to get things back to normal. And I think some events may not even recover. To get the momentum for events is tough.
Sure.
And the longer this goes on, the harder it's going to get people to come back to their previous life.
Controversially, you also said that maybe we should request all media to stand together and stop printing COVID numbers. Can't be just one, needs to be everyone. What's your feeling behind getting the media to stop printing the COVID numbers?
I just think that the fear is more than what's warranted, but you know other people might say that that's wrong, and I think those daily numbers, especially the death numbers, it's just terrifying. I know loads of Thai people that have been really, really terrified by this, and they're young, healthy people, and I think that a lot of media are taking it too far. I think it's good to warn people, but I think having those daily numbers hammering in everyone's minds, that this COVID doesn't ever go off anyone's mind. It's like every day I open the news, it's there. Every person I meet, when's the bars opening? And then everyone starts talking about the quarantine and everything. So my daily conversation has been the same for a year and a half, and I get sick of it. So if all the media stop putting the numbers in there, and maybe we'll move on to other things.
Well, I mean,
Maybe
I'd like to think that the media are reporting on other things as well, but at the moment we're in a public health emergency, and I'm sort of worried that we might be going down a very slippery slope if we start restricting what the media can and can't print.
Yeah, I don't mean banning it. I just mean standing together and, you know, maybe not putting the deaths on there. Or what we've tried to do with our news is we tried to be more open about why people died. You know, there was someone that died and they say, oh yeah, he died of COVID. And there was a superstar and loads of Thai people say, oh, well, he was young and he died. But they didn't say that he had all of these underlying conditions. I think there should be more transparency like that. You know, real COVID deaths, not so much, you know, COVID when they've had all of these aging issues as well.
Do you think that the numbers published by the Thai government have been accurate, or do you sort of sniff a conspiracy?
I know how bad it is in Pattaya, and the numbers don't reflect that. And that's one of the reasons why I think, you know, let's just slowly start opening up, because it's just there's just no way we can turn around from this now. I've seen that they were doing tests every single day, and it was limited to 300 tests in the area. And when all this stuff initially was happening, people were just being turned away, just constantly being turned away. And then this last wave, something changed dramatically, and then they were completely aggressive about it, and they were dragging people in there, and they were threatening to blacklist people if they didn't come in, and they were hounding people. So we've had COVID cases with some of our girls, and we've worked with the police, and if the girls don't want to get tested, that's not really an option. They say it's an option. One of my fighters, he needed to get tested, and he said, I can't afford to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. And I said, well, it's up to you then, isn't it? And then the police said, we'll throw you out of the country if you don't get tested. So,
yeah, it's a worry, and it's certainly been something on my mind that I wasn't really inclined to pass through a checkpoint, have a bit of timber stuck up my nose, and coming back with either a false positive or a real positive, whereby I'd be taken out of circulation for a couple of weeks. Like yourself, I'm trying to run a business, and I can't afford to be taken out of circulation. Big problem.
It's the Rona situation here is really bad at the moment, and if they do more testing, it'll reflect that.
So you've got a meeting today. You're asking people to turn up at 12:30, and you're asking them to, I suppose, basically petition to get the bars reopened.
Yeah, and the other one is let us live stream. Like, if you can let us live stream from the safety of our rooms, we don't mind if the police or the Banglamung district officers want to come and test our girls. If they want to oversee it, it's fine. This is the biggest thing that's upsetting me. So just let us do our thing safely in our rooms, and then we're good for a little bit. There's quite a few business owners, and we're paying our bills with that. Okay, we weren't making money, but we were keeping our staff around. Now we're losing our key staff slowly. So if they can grant us that, I'm happy.
So we've put the details of your meeting today. That's a line group. People can join to find out some more information. You're all going to descend on the Pattaya City Hall?
Yeah, we're going to deliver 3 letters, one to the district governor, one to the mayor, and I think one to someone higher up in Chonburi. And today's the first day where we deliver it to the mayor. But the idea is just to get some media attention to show people how much we're suffering, and how bad it is in Pattaya, and people have had enough.
Well, you partly achieved that goal, and we thank you very much for talking to us, and good luck with the meeting at 12:30 today. We'll certainly follow up with what's happening, and I'm sure there'll be a report in the Pattaya News as well. Bryan, good luck. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
That's Bryan Flowers there from the Nightwish Group, and also publisher of the Pattaya News. And you've been watching The Thaiger.